What's up, guys? Today we're going to be talking about 5 reasons why you should buy the POCO X3 Pro for going into 2022. So this is one of my favorite phones this year. It's a very fun phone to play with, especially for the price. It was widely popular this year because of the price to spec ratio. So let's go ahead and start off with that. That's one of my favorite reasons why. So if you check out the price, $269 right now on Amazon, less than 300 bucks. So the thing that this phone appeals to most people is really gaming. So this phone has the Snapdragon 860 processor with the Adreno 640. It also has micro SD support for expandable storage, 128 gigs of internal storage, 6 or 8 gigs of RAM. And man, does this phone do an awesome job with performance. It also has UFS 3.1 storage on here. So this phone is just extremely speedy when it comes to gaming. I dropped a full gaming test and it can pretty much play any game at high settings. PUBG, Call of Duty Mobile, I played Fortnite on here. It did that very smoothly. I had a really great gaming experience on this phone, and it did it without overheating or doing anything crazy. So I was just extremely impressed with gaming performance on this phone. So if you are a gamer looking for a phone under 300 bucks, I think you'll be super happy with the POCO X3 Pro here. Next, I'm going to actually say the display. So I actually like the display on here, and I understand why POCO went with an IPS panel on here instead of an OLED. They could have put an OLED in here, but they had to sell you up on, I believe, the POCO F3. So I understand that move. You gotta sell people up. But this display is not that bad. Now, the only thing about this display is not as bright in outdoors, so that's the only issue. If you take it out and it's a sunny day, you kind of struggle to see with this phone because it just does not get as bright. But as far as the quality of the panel, it's a full 1080p panel, and it's actually 120 hertz, which is pretty crazy. It's 395 for the PPI. It uses Gorilla Glass 6, so I don't have any scratches on this phone, and I've been using it without the case. And you have your punch hole. So like I said, very colorful, high quality IPS panel. It doesn't wash out or anything like that. So I really like the panel on here, besides the fact that it doesn't get as bright. But indoors, I have zero issues with this phone. So yeah, just super smooth panel, and plus if you have a game that is compatible with the 120 hertz, you can play it and you will be able to feel that difference of everything just being super silky and smooth. So I really do like the display on here. Number 3 is going to be the bells and whistles. So this phone has a bunch of awesome features in it. The one feature and this is the reason I use this phone, I use the IR blaster on this phone. So I use it instead of the remote because I constantly lose the remote. So I just found out that it's easier if you have an IR blaster. You can control your TV, PC monitors, air conditioner. The IR blaster is a super slept on feature, so it is a really awesome thing to have on this phone. I always have this phone around with me, so just solely for that reason. So I really love that. It's also IP53 dust and splash proof, so it can take being out in the rain and stuff like that, no problem. And also this phone does have a headphone jack at the bottom here. Awesome. So that's why a lot of people love this phone. I think the next best thing is this fingerprint scanner. It's built into the power button and it just works flawlessly. It just feels extremely natural to unlock your phone like this. I've always said that is the best way to do a physical fingerprint scanner. Yeah, so this phone really does have everything you can want, and it also has NFC, and in addition to that, it has stereo speakers on here. I'll go ahead and let you hear them. Very nice, very loud sounding stereo speakers, no distortion, gets very thumpy as well. So overall, just the bells and whistles on this phone, very nice. Now next is going to be the cameras on here. So the cameras, now they're not the best cameras at this mid-range price point. I think the A52 S and the 5G, I really like the cameras on that, but I don't think this phone has bad cameras at all. I think a lot of people, when they look at the photos on here, they expect this phone to shoot like a $600 or $800 flagship phone or a high-end mid-ranger. You guys have to remember, this is an entry-level mid-ranger, and I think it does perfectly fine for the photos that you get here. So it's a quad camera setup, 48 megapixel standard, 8 megapixel ultra wide, 2 megapixel macro, 2 megapixel depth, 4K video at 30 frames, and then a 20 megapixel selfie at 1080p. I thought the photos were perfectly fine for any casual photo taker. You get pretty good detail, and this is all outdoors. I didn't really see anything to complain about because, again, you really need to take the price into consideration. The photos are perfectly fine at this price point. I think they do a pretty good job with the color. I really like how my selfies came out on here as well. Detail is fine. So overall, you know, for you get what you pay for, and that's like the main thing I try to stress people. But I'm saying that it's really not that bad for 300 bucks. So I never understood like the complaints with the cameras with this phone. I think it does a pretty good job actually. Lastly is battery life. So this phone has a massive 5,160 milliamp battery. Phone can easily go 2 days if you're a light user, easy. Even if you're a gamer, this is a phone that you can game on and you won't be running to the charger and stuff like that. Not only does this phone does a great job with battery life, but it also charges very fast at 33 watts as well. So that is really awesome too. It charges up very quickly. So I was really happy with battery performance and, you know, how fast this phone charges. So I think the X3 Pro is an extremely solid option. I see why it's so popular, especially overseas here. And yeah, I have no issues with this phone. I think it's a phenomenal phone this year. Very, very awesome. I can't wait to see the X4 Pro to come out next year. This is gonna be like, man, how can they top this phone and keep the same price? So I think what they're gonna do is just they might keep it the exact same and put an OLED display in here, and it'll still be like the top, you know, mid-ranger. So what do you guys think? Be sure to let me know, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.